Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from News about Desawe Kanda. Also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. I am Alfred Ocansey.
My name is Grace Agyemang.
This evening here on Hot Edition, we'll delve into it as the Supreme Court defers ruling on two suits against anti-LGBTQ plus bill as Apex Court awaits determination of the substantive suit against that legislation. We'll bring you details shortly.
Also tonight, transport operators announced 15% increment of transport fares from Monday.
Well, we'll give you details of that. We just got a number of you reacting already with this announcement of an increase in transport fares. Also, election 2024 here on your election command center. Losers must accept the outcome. That's according to Jane Adokwe-Mensah, the chair of the Electoral Commission. We have details of that shortly here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 plus an update on the dengue fever and matters arising. Lord Eduasari is here with a summary of the news. Lord.
Right, Alfred. So, brief summaries here. First one says the dengue fever outbreak is not slowing down anytime soon following latest confirmation by the Ghana Health Service that the country has recorded 36 cases. The cases, according to the service, cuts across the eastern and central regions. The disease, which originally started as prolonged malaria, was confirmed by the Noguchi Research Center last week, within the number of samples increasing. Another story. The family of a final year student of Ghana National College in Cape Coast are demanding justice for the loss of their son, Theophilus Ansan, who passed away after days of battling severe malaria. According to the family, the death of Theophilus could have been prevented if school authorities acted responsibly to seek early medical intervention for him. At the courts, the Apex Court has, in a unanimous decision, opted to reserve its ruling in two cases, seeking that it restrains Parliament from transmitting the anti-LGBTQ bill to the presidency for possible assent. The court explained that the interest of justice will be better served if it fully hears and determines the substantive case. Also, the timely release of the 2024 BEC results is likely to face a snag if government's indebtedness to the West African Examination Council (WAEC) continues. This is because the council is yet to receive the full complement of arrears owed them by government for onward distribution to examiners and others. And finally, one person is feared dead, with others injured following a communal clash between residents of Koro and Bogno, all in Lambusi district of the Upper West region. The incident, which is reported to have occurred on Sunday, July 14, escalated to other communities. And that's for the news summaries, Alfred.
Lord Eduasari, thank you so much. And as one news on 3news.com, make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Hot Edition. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's start off with the courts, Grace, shall we? The Supreme Court has, in a unanimous decision, opted to defer its ruling in two cases, seeking that it restrains Parliament from transmitting the anti-LGBTQ plus bill to the presidency for possible assent. The court explained that the interests of justice will be better served if it fully hears and determines the substantive case. In the first case, titled Dr. Amanda Odoy versus the Speaker and the Attorney General, lawyer for the applicant, Ernest Ako, argued that both the Speaker of Parliament and the Clerk to Parliament should be restrained by the Apex Court until after the determination of the substantive matter. In the case of the broadcaster and lawyer Richard Delaskai, his counsel, Kwesi Abedu, also pointed to the absence of fiscal impact analysis, which formed the basis for the passage of the bill. Let's first of all take a listen to him and some of the issues that happened in court earlier today.
When an application is before court and it has not been determined, although it has not expressly been stated granted or not granted, but once it is pending, we don't do anything to prejudice the outcome of the application. So we say that invariably, indirectly, it is still restraining any party from doing anything contrary to the demands of the application. So far as this matter is pending, otherwise it will amount to contempt of court. To the best of our understanding of this. When the court speaks about an early trial, in effect what it means is that it will speed up the process towards the determination of the matter, so that this whole issue of injunction before final determination will no longer take a center stage.
With the legal vacation inside, how soon do you expect this thing to happen?
So that's a lawyer for Richard Alaska, but the plaintiffs are asking the Supreme Court to declare the bill null and void. They also argue that the passage of the bill violates provisions of the 1992 Constitution, particularly Article 33(5), as well as Article 12(1) and 2, and 15(1), 17(1) and 2, 18 Clause 2, and 21 Clause 1, A and B, D and E. The Attorney General, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, indicated that he expects the rule of law to be adhered to every step of the way in this trial.
At this stage, the process have not been transmitted, and there must be a reason for that. The reason is that there was this application for interlocutory injunction pending, and the court has still not disposed of the application for interlocutory injunction. The court said the determination of that application for interlocutory injunction should abide the determination of the main case, and for that matter, it is reserving its determination until the main action is heard. It tells you that the application for interlocutory injunction is still pending, has not been disposed of. And so I think that would be the proper course to take.
I mean, the court made a point about an early trial, but we know that the legal vacation is just upcoming. I mean, are we looking at the possibility of maybe request for a special dispensation, or we just have to go by the normal calendar?
Well, I still have to file my processes, and that will be the first point for me to take. So it's a matter of complying with the rules of court. I have to comply with the rules of court first before you think about an expeditious hearing. So the question of an expeditious hearing of the main case does not arise at this stage until all processes have been filed and the parties are ready to move forward. You heard counsel for the first defendant even talking about an application for a consolidation that has to be made, and that has not been done. So I do not think that there's a need for us to be consider the question.
So that's the Attorney General, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame there. Well, let's engage shortly. Got onto the telephone. Roxy Nelson Dafiamepo, who is Member of Parliament for this South Dai constituency, one of the proponents of this private members bill, the anti-LGBTQ plus bill, shortly to get some reactions from what happened in court earlier today and matters arising. And the fundamental question that is at play right now is the plaintiffs seeking that the Speaker of Parliament be restrained from even transmitting this bill from Parliament to the presidency for possible action, because, Chris, as we do know, this bill has been approved by Parliament unanimously. There was no objection to it, at least with the persons who were the members of Parliament who were present in the House when this matter was subjected to a vote. There was no objection. Also unanimous approval of it. As to whether what the Attorney General is saying, his position on this matter is going to hold, is one thing that we're going to talk about shortly here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. When we do get Nelson Roxy Dafiamepo, we'll speak to him on this. But let's get into what's happening at the Ghana National College. Grace?
Yes, Alfred, obviously another story to look out for, because the family of a final year student at the Ghana National College in Cape Coast is demanding justice for the loss of their son Theophilus Ansah, who passed away after battling severe malaria for several days. The family has accused the authorities at Ghana National College of negligence leading to their son's death and wants the law to hold the school authorities accountable. We can hear from father of the deceased.
And in the 6:30. Now, Abafano, my wife, friend, there, what's it you school, ma? Wafia, and to me, you collapse simple. No, my friend, a man, be of an alasa. There, honestly, you know that water, and son, no, school home. It's my friend, no, I'm catching the what's it you are in Tifano hospital. Now, looking at them time, you don't do me back into addiction. So I don't take 2nd July, no, you know, your bay. It's your bay. Your bay, my friend, or the home. No, you know, Kata. Now, Messi. na oxygen na drip musumedo Wednesday na who school authority bia ho na me frɛ PHM man de dan na mo run the school na say that until them no frɛ headmaster no catch me da me my report no say what do you mean na beka da you know about or your border for 3 days na friend you no so can't you look for the guy ono make come again na that day that was the 3rd of July very fair and yanko intervention now we there no one no be interfere no be into or there the consider no and the headmaster didn't step there till the boy died intervention away fair ko no one was there or my but what the night into infection na liver issue and that's why I will not to dialysis machine.
So that was father of Theophilus Ansah, the deceased students from the Ghana National College, narrating the incident that led to the death of his son. According to him, the school did not carry out due diligence when the son reported that he wasn't feeling well, leading to complications with his lungs and other issues that eventually led to his death. And the Central Regional Education Director has also been speaking about the matter. We can listen to Emmanuel Isuman.
It's true that child died, and as a director, but the parents called me and I was there with them, the documentation, getting the death certificate. I was there from 10:20 up to almost 4 p.m. That's Saturday, that's 6 July. As a matter of fact, we've tasked the house master, and matters has given report, and we are also under the Director General Headquarters. So I have forwarded all the necessary documents to headquarters. And again, we believe in justice. So if parents are demanding justice, I believe that is what we are looking for.
Well, this is not the first time such an issue is happening. Days ago, the High Court declared that Agyemang School was negligent by failing to provide a residential general arts student, Kevin Kofi Moses, with proper medical care, a situation which ultimately resulted in his death. The judgment came after 7 years and 6 months after his death. That case was pursued by Child Rights International with support from lawyer Martin Pebu and his team. It is my conclusion that Dominic Danso, housemaster of Fraser House, breached his duty of care to the deceased. Justice Comfort Kwashiwo Tasiame held in a judgment dated May 28, 2024, wondering why one of the two housemasters of Fraser House could not even accompany the seriously sick student to the hospital. According to a report, the trial judge said the attitude of Mr. Danso, showing no remorse at all when he was in the witness box to give evidence and during cross-examination, had rendered Sonia Forianso, now childless, in this Ghanaian community where premium is placed on children. We will be engaging the Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bright Apia, and one of the people the family is looking to for help in seeking justice for their son, Alfred. This is like one too many. Just early this year, we also had another issue with a female student at the Agyemang School who also lost her life, and the father also blamed the school for negligence. And today, we're also hearing this coming from family of the student from the Ghana National College. I think that, since even my time when I was in senior high school, when you are ill and you want exit from your house, master house, Mrs. Alfred, the stress you go through
indeed
is just too much.
Absolutely. And you raised a fundamental question about that duty of care.
Yeah.
Okay? The duty of care is where you see a number of these concerns going to. And if you make reference to what happened in this case of this Agyemang School student, lawyer Martin Pebu let that case fall on behalf of the family for 8 years.
Yes.
He did not take a dime from them. He won the case about 2 weeks ago. Well, you would have thought that that would also have served as some sort of a reminder, especially to the GES
Exactly.
and the various school heads, to review the duty of care, responsibility,
Exactly.
and how that is being executed amongst the various senior high school heads. Remember what happened in Ebri Girls as well?
Yes.
This was like 3 months ago.
Ebri Girls, yes.
Yeah, another first-year student who
also
died.
lost her life in this similar incidences. And the school also makes the argument that students tend to abuse how often they are given the exit, and so as on the part of the school to ensure that students do not abuse exit, that is why they go through this laborious process. But I think that as a school or as authority, you should be able to know when somebody is trying to change the system or when somebody is seriously ill. And
Absolutely.
it's, I don't know, but sometimes it can be very, it beats my mind as to how these things happen to the extent of somebody losing their life.
So it's 19 minutes after 5. When we get through to Bright Up here, we'll connect with him shortly on this matter, and then also some of the fundamental questions that are being raised at the moment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Keep your thoughts coming through. So we're streaming live on 3FM 927 on Facebook. Share your thoughts with us and read out to you and to the rest of the world. Let's go back to our earlier story where the Attorney General Minister for Justice, Godfrey Yeboah, has supported the Supreme Court's decision to defer its ruling on the interlocutory injunction application filed by Richard Delaskai and Dr. Amanda Odoi, seeking to prevent Parliament from transmitting the anti-gay bill to the presidency for accent. Godfrey Yeboah spoke to the media earlier today after the court hearing.
At this stage, the process have not been transmitted, and there must be a reason for that. The reason is that there was this application for interlocutory injunction pending, and the court has still not disposed of the application for interlocutory injunction. The court said the determination of that application for interlocutory injunction should abide the determination of the main case, and for that matter, it is reserving its determination until the main action is heard. It tells you that the application for interlocutory injunction is still pending, has not been disposed of. And so I think that would be the proper course to take.
I mean, the court made a point about an early trial, but we know that the legal vacation is just upcoming. I mean, are we looking at the possibility of maybe request for a special dispensation, or we just have to go by the normal calendar?
Well, I still have to follow my processes, and that will be the first point for me to take. So it's a matter of complying with the rules of court. I have to comply with the rules of court first before you think about an expeditious hearing. So the question of an expeditious hearing of the main case does not arise at this stage until all processes have been filed and the parties are ready to move forward. We heard counsel for the first defendant even talking about an application for a consolidation that has to be made, and that has not been done. So I do not think that there's a need for us to consider the question.
Let's go for Yeboah there. Let's go to the telephone now. And Honorable Nelson Roxon Echedafio, who's also a private legal practitioner, member of parliament for the South Dyke constituency, one of the proponents of this anti-LGBTQ plus bill, is joining us on the telephone. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to have joined you. And pardon me for the noise in the background, because as you may be aware, Parliament today here at that Class 4 Stadium playing against the old Black Stars in celebration of our 30 years in commemoration of the Democratic Cup.
Indeed, and I'm told that it's just it was a 1-1 draw.
No, we beat them by 3-1.
The members of parliament beat the old Black Stars players by 3-1.
3-1. Yes.
Indeed, congratulations to you. Did you play, sir?
Thank you.
Did you play the ball yourself?
No, I did not.
I know you to be a good player. I'm surprised you're not on the field. But anyway, this is what the Attorney General is saying, that the court has still not disposed of the application for the interlocutory injunction. The court said the determination of the application for that interlocutory injunction should abide by the determination of the main case. And for that matter, it is reserving its determination until the main action is heard. What's your take on this?
Thank you very much. It is strange that the Attorney General is in agreement with the court, because Ocansey, one of the first things you are taught when you enter the law school is about certainty of law. That certain principles in law are tried, they are settled. That when a matter is before a court and a party is agreed in terms of before the matter is finally determined, if a party is agreed about any matter, the party has a right to come to court to apply for what we call an interim injunction or interlocutory injunction to restrain a party from doing a certain action until the final determination of the matter. And the principles underpinning this discretionary exercise of power by the court is wide and settled. If you may be recalled, you know that when I went before the Supreme Court in my action regarding compelling the president to receive the bill as duly passed by Parliament, and also when I went to the Supreme Court in respect of the supposed reappointment of some ministers and reshuffling them after they were dismissed, the Supreme Court took 3 days to determine the application. I found application by the 19th, and by the 25th of the month, they are determining the application. You are aware?
Yes, indeed.
You are aware?
That's what happened, yes.
And yet, the same Supreme Court tells us today that an interlocutory application for which all the parties have filed all the necessary processes, they cannot determine it, and that determination must abide the outcome of the final of the matter on its merits. There's nothing settled in the law anymore. So when you are going to the court now, you don't know what will happen, and it's a sad situation. But that's where we are. Me as a practitioner, it's a big bother for me as a practitioner, as a lawyer, and as an officer of the court, that an interlocutory application pending before the court is not as if a party hasn't complied with all the directives given in the hearing of that matter. All the parties, the applicants have complied, the respondents have also complied, and yet the court says that even though you have all complied with whatever we have asked you to pass, we will not deliver a ruling until the judgment of the matter on its merits. It's about that. So if there's an injury that is being caused, if there's a harm that is being caused to a party for which the person has come to court to pay for this order, the harm will continue. It's a sad day.
I see. But then again, the AG's position in agreeing with the courts on this matter is that it is reserving its determination until the main action is heard. And does it not tell you that the application for interlocutory injunction is still pending to that extent?
Yes, technically speaking, the law underpinning the grant or refusal of an injunction application is that once an application is filed against a party, whether or not it is determined, until the application is finally determined, the party is injuncted from continuing with the action or conduct for which the application is being sought. So technically speaking, the pendency of the application injuncts the conduct for which the respondents are being, it injuncts the conduct against which the applicants have come to court. You know, if you speak to any senior lawyer is calling in this matter, it's a sad spectacle. We've been talking for the past 2 hours in respect of this matter on some other forum. And it is a wrong signal to say that the party has come to court and has followed it up, filed a writ publish so-called, followed it up with an application for the grant of an interlocutory injunction. It's up to the court because it's an exercise of discretionary power. So the court should determine whether or not it will grant that discretion or exercise that discretion by granting the application. You do not say that the application should stay in abeyance until you decide to grant it during the delivery of your judgment in respect of the substantive matter before you. It's a painful situation to endure, especially when the application is against you. And what is more troubling is that this is coming from the highest court of the land. So it will become a precedent that all the lower courts may follow tomorrow. That if I have my land and someone is building on the land and I file an application to grant the trespasser from continuing with any adverse claim that he has against my land, the court will say that, well, even though he got an application, I will leave the determination of the application until I finally determine that, even if it takes 5 years or 6 years. And Ocansey, you are aware that there are some matters pending before the Supreme Court that are over 3 years. You are aware.
Yes, indeed. But so then it leads me to my final question. Will this bill ever become law before the life of this parliament ends?
I am unable to answer that, given the circumstances we find ourselves in.
That certainly would be.
And you're also aware that I went to the High Court to seek a mandamus order to compel the president to receive the bill. The court told me that even though I had met all the conditions of the grant of the mandamus, the court will not grant the application because portions of the release I seek are also part of the present matter, which the Supreme Court says it will not grant the interim, whether it will not determine the interim application until the final determination of the act. So, like you said, technically speaking, we're in a quagmire. We're in a legal quagmire.
We'll see how the coming days will look like. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
Nelson Roxon Dafiampo is Member of Parliament for the South Dike constituency. He's also a private legal practitioner, one of the sponsors of this anti-LGBTQ plus bill. And Grace, getting to know that, in fact, he cannot even tell whether this bill will become law before the life of this parliament ends. And this is a good question to ask, because when the life of this parliament ends, this bill also ends with this life of this parliament. If it does not become law, the whole process will have to start all over again. With the inception of the 9th parliament. We'll see how things play out.
Yes, Alfred, definitely. Let's just take you back to that story where the family of a final year student at Ghana National College in Cape Coast is demanding justice for the loss of their son Theophilus and son, who passed away after battling severe malaria for several days. The family has accused the authorities at the school of negligence leading to their son's death and wants the law to hold the school authorities accountable. The executive director of Child Rights International, Bright Apia, is joining us for a conversation. Ms. Apia, thank you for joining us tonight. The family is accusing the school of negligence. How does negligence impact child's rights in this case?
Well, the art of negligence is when a duty has been given to somebody and the person failed to perform that duty. So if what the family is saying is anything to go by, I think that with all inferring, that is what exactly they are seeking. That the conduct of the school led to the death of their beloved son. So they will need action in respect to that. And for me, for you to be able to meet that, there are a lot of factors that must come to play for it to be considered. So we've heard of it. We're trying as much as possible to see if we can get some evidence in respect to what happened in Ghana National. So we are in the process of doing that. And if anything comes out of it, I think that it's of interest. We would also see what we can do in respect to that particular thing.
What are the legal alternatives a family can take when they believe their child's rights have been violated in educational institutions?
Right. They have no right to go to court to challenge or to petition the court in respect to what exactly happened. Because if you look at the recent case that has happened in court, the court was clear on what the mandate of the school should be, and when children are in school, and what the mandate of parents should also be when they are also in school. So clearly, if the act took place within the premises of the school, and certain things were not considered right, then probably they may have a good case. But it is left on the court to determine whether or not the accusations that they are raising will matter in the court of law.
So, Mr. Appiah, would you say that authorities or school authorities are not taking lessons or are not taking cues from these incidences dating back to the case that you and lawyer Martin Pebu pursued, even to the recent one at Agyemang, and then this one? Would you say they are happening too much? One too many schools are not taking lessons from these cases?
Yes, of course. They are not really even abiding by the duty regulations that they themselves have prescribed for the schools. And they feel that each school can conduct itself in a manner that they deem fit. But we live in a society where laws must work. And we have also dedicated the laws that protect the interests of children. So they have to abide by some of these things. But the current case, the one that Martin Pebu handled, the court was so clear and laid most of the rules in terms of what the school must do to protect the interests of children. So if in the past we've not had that clearly stated, I think that there's a new precedent that has established what the duty of schools are in respect to children. And for me, schools must begin to learn from what the court did so that they can apply it in their daily activities. And for it to work effectively, I think the Ghana Education Service should clearly look at what the judgment and see some of the policy issues that they can pick from it.
All right,
Mr. Also make it in a way that would also impact on their regulations so that schools can also comply with.
Mr. Appiah, your advice to parents on how to advocate for their children's rights within the school system, also to students, because the schools also make the case that students end up abusing the exit system. That is why sometimes the schools are so strict on allowing or giving out exit, and also probably to the school authority. So a threefold: parents, students, and then the schools.
Yes, abuse of exit has nothing to do with how and manner the school should regulate it. It has not, the principle of it has nothing to do with you being straight for you to be able to achieve the kind of result that you want. So there are so many alternative systems that you can do. But one thing that the judgment also says clearly is that once a child enters the school premises, the duty of parents is even transferred to the teachers. So once the children are under the care of the teachers, they have power to protect the interests of children. And that's what, for us, we expect that they should do, so that if there are cases of illness, there are cases of abuse or whatsoever, we expect that the school system will act in a manner that may not necessarily involve the parent, but things that will seek the interests of children. So you cannot be in school, a child cannot be in school, and then a teacher will call the parent that your child is sick, so come for the child. No, this case is saying that no. Now, it is the duty of the school to make sure that they provide medical care. So if you go by that, then you may not necessarily apply the principle of the exit, the concept of the exit, because the school must assume that responsibility, take it up, and make sure that the child is on his or her feet. And that is exactly what we expect. But if the child is sick and you allow the child to deteriorate to a certain level and you want to issue exit, or children want to go and do something on their own, and then you want to issue exit in the name of neglecting the basic responsibilities that have been laid down for you to follow, then these are the situations where you see children abusing the exit system. So we now have an establishment that once a child enters a school, the responsibility of that child is solely in the hands of the school. So we expect that once they are able to take out that responsibility, this issue of children seeking for exit to go and do 2 or 3 things, I don't think that would even be applicable in this sense.
All right, Mr. Appiah, thank you for speaking to us. Bright Appiah is the Executive Director of Child's Rights International. Alfred, some breaking news coming in?
Indeed, some breaking news we're having right now here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7.
Breaking news on 3FM 92.7. 3FM 92.7.
Oh, some breaking news we're having right now here on 3FM 92.7 Hot Edition. The President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has appointed Commissioner of Police, that's COP Christian Tete Yohono, as the new Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of operations. Now, this appointment is impartial to the advice of the Police Council at its meeting held today, Wednesday, 17th of July, 2024, during which the COP Yohono's exceptional credentials and dedication to duty were acknowledged. COP Christian Yohono is a distinguished law enforcement officer with a career spanning over 3 decades and has also held various key positions within the Ghana Police Service. President Akufo-Addo extends his heartfelt congratulations to COP Christian Tete Yohono on his well-deserved appointment and wishes him the very best in the discharge of his duties. So just news just coming through here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 from the presidency. That's breaking news right now. The President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has appointed Commissioner of Police Christian Tete Yohono as the new Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of operations. This appointment is pursuant to the advice of the Police Council at its meeting held earlier today, Wednesday, 17th of July, 2024, during which COP Yohono's exceptional credentials and dedication to duty were acknowledged. COP Christian Tete Yohono is a distinguished law enforcement officer with a career spanning over 3 decades and has held various key positions within the Ghana Police Service. President Akufo-Addo extends his heartfelt congratulations to COP Christian Tete Yohono on his well-deserved appointment and wishes him the very best in the discharge of his duties. So that's a statement coming through from the presidency, signed by Agyemang, Director of Communications, Office of the President. So that's the news coming in now. Christian Tete Yohono has been elevated Deputy IGP. That is the news coming through right now. And let's stay a bit further on this breaking news just coming through now. And Richard Komado is a security analyst, is joining us on the telephone. Is one that the work of Christian Tete Yohono is not alien to him. He's connecting with us. Kumado, appreciate your time here on Hot Edition. So this is the news coming through right now. President Akufo-Addo has appointed COP Christian Tete Yohono as the Deputy IGP in charge of operations. From the security perspective, you follow this work. How does this strike you?
No, he as a person, I know him directly. Yeah, he's like an uncle to many of us. He had this Krobo Gandangwe stuff. Before IGP Dampari became the IGP, he's somebody you can always walk to. So Homanu plays a role that when it comes to police welfare, their personal relationships and operational issues, he's just following the steps of Dampari. So I'm not surprised at all. What I'm surprised, however, is what the letter is saying. Because this is the first time we are hearing, or this is the first time in many years we are hearing that somebody has been appointed into an official position as an IGP, and the letter has been signed by the president, and that has not been the norm. But that's notwithstanding, I think he is qualified. Many people have said he's supposed to be the IGP even before they brought in Dampari. So it's in the right direction. Or if you play by the conspiracy theory, then considering the fact that Dampari has vanished from the public eye for a very long time, they are just preparing the ground for a new IGP.
It is the conspiracy theory that many are already, reading this new appointment into. But then again, does it have, from your security perspective, any grounds for consideration, for that matter, that indeed Christian Tete Yohono is just being prepared to take over as IGP?
Definitely, he's qualified. Even without academic credentials, he's qualified. He has what it takes to be an IGP. He has almost every qualification and character in that position as an IGP. He has acted in that capacity for many years, and nobody would doubt his credentials, nobody would doubt his capability and professional ethics. You remember one of the typical demonstrations in this country. When it went wrong, he's the one almost all of us were blaming. The house and my uncle be dead and he couldn't resolve this particular issue. I'm talking about the one that happened at Kwame Nkrumah Circle. He went to the ground, just like Dan Parry would have done, and he was appealing to people, persuading them, and doing what he does best as a professional police officer. I will be glad if one day he becomes an IGP, except to say that I'm not always too comfortable about the way this government appoints their IGPs and the methodologies they apply. It makes them weak. That's notwithstanding, Dan Parry wouldn't have a problem if Yowano is taking over for him, because Yowano is as qualified as Dan Parry.
Mr. Kumado, appreciate your time on this matter. Thank you so much. Richard Kumado is a security analyst joining us with his thoughts on this, former BNI operative as well. And so that's the news. COP Christian Teteyono has been appointed as Deputy IGP in charge of operations. It's a statement that's coming through hot on the plate here on Hot Edition from the presidency. And that's the details we're giving to you. There's more of this on 3news.com. Also, if you go on our Facebook page at 3FM927, we have a copy of that statement announcing this new appointment by the president. You get some more details on that one. But
well, Alfred, yes, some commercial drivers in Ghana are advocating for an increase in transport fares to align with the recent 4% rise in petroleum prices at the pump. Transport Operators Association of Ghana has announced there will be an increment of transport fares coming Monday, August 22, 2024. We're going to speak to David Abuado, who is PRO.
Well, yes, but hold on to that not too good news about this increase in transport fares, and that's got a lot of people talking. But let's go back and speak a bit more to some persons on this new appointment by the president, the breaking news as we just brought through. And also we have, as we do know, the president has appointed COP Christian Teteyono as the Deputy IGP in charge of operations. That's the news that's just come through. Let's go on to the telephone now and speak to the Member of Parliament for the Wild West constituency, who is also a former police chief as well. He knows him quite well. He's joining us on the telephone. Honorable Peter Lanchani Tobo. Honorable Tobo, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening, Alfred. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. It's good to have you as well. I hope you're doing well too.
I'm very fine.
Fantastic. So this is the news that's coming through. COP Christian Teteyono has been appointed as Deputy IGP in charge of operations. You have served with him. How do you receive this news?
Thank you very much. Let me say good evening to our cherished listeners. COP Teteyono, Ghana Police Service number 2 occupant, has been with the Ghana Police Service for many years. And I think that he's risen through the ranks to the position of a full commissioner, occupying the number 2 position by rank. What His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has just done is to put icing on the cake with the appointment. His position as number 2 will not change, but he becomes an appointee. The Deputy Inspector General of Police position is by appointment, it's not by rank. But the GP2 position of a police commissioner is by rank. So he had occupied the position as the second in command of the Ghana Police Service as a commissioner of police. What the president has done is to say, I am appointing you as a Deputy Inspector General of Police. It's been a position that is a bit controversial over the years. Sometimes it lies vacant for many years, and once in a while you have an appointment here and there. We used to have Deputy IGP Operations and Deputy IGP Administration. Until the time came that position lay vacant for a very long time. And I think the last one we had was Mr. Opon Bonu, who occupied the position under Mr. Pietu as Deputy IGP and finally became IGP. So it's an honor done to my elder brother, Mr. Teteyono, and I wish him so well. His policing career has spanned through periods, and his experience has spanned through operations to investigation as a regional commander of Greater Accra Region, as the Director General of the Police Intelligence Directorate, Director General of the Police Administration, and now Deputy Inspector General of Police. He deserves it.
He deserves it. He has the quality. He served well in the service. But then again, would you say that those who are looking at the flip side of his appointment, that he's only been prepared to take over from as the IGP, especially because of the seeming silence of the IGP, which we are not very used to. George Akufo Dampare would always be in the public doing one thing or the other, but for the past 3 months or so, there's been very uncharacteristic silence on his part. Would you question those who raised that conspiracy theory, if you would want to call it?
Well, if people understand how policing works in Africa, sometimes it's very important for you to have the optics right, and sometimes it's for you to disappear. And probably in the face of the public that you are not available, you are probably doing some deep state stuff. It's not everything that the IGP does that you need to publish it. And many IGPs, I've not seen an IGP who is a self-publicist. There are things that they do and they want the public to know. But you get to a point that you think that probably you need to change the style for a month or two. Those things are all leadership styles. Getting the Deputy Inspector General of Police's position is not just necessarily a preparation. It's the fact that you are due, you are on merit, due for it, and you've been given. Of course, if the IGP leaves today, by natural ascension, the next person, whether it is GP2 or Deputy IGP, it doesn't change anything. He will be the next person. So whether the President appointed him as Deputy Inspector General of Police or not, Dr. George Akufo Dampare was Commissioner of Police, and he was number 2 on the list. And when Mr. Opombwanu left, the number 2 on the list was pushed to number 1 as Inspector General of Police. So basically what the President has done is not changing the number. Mr. Tete Yohunu remains number 2 on the list, but he becomes Deputy Inspector General of Police. So if somebody is thinking about the fact that he's been prepared for a job, I think that he has been prepared long ago, even when he was a Commissioner number 6, but he's now Commissioner number 2. So if he's becoming number 1 tomorrow, it is a President prerogative. But the truth of the matter is that let nobody think. Probably the President is looking at the fact that we're in an election year. He needs to empower people to support the IGP to deliver. And that is why he's been appointed as Deputy IGP Operations. And who knows? Maybe that icing on the cake can motivate him to give up his best in support of George Akufo Dampare's administration.
And as you indicated, this is a controversial position, left vacant sometimes. But would you say that is one that should be kept on the books and in the hierarchy of the Ghana Police Service?
I will suggest that once it is created by law, and it is in CR 76, Ghana Police Service Regulation 2012, at any point in time, we should always have a Deputy Inspector General of Police, because his role is quite defined in the law, what he should be doing, and the role that he will play to assist the IGP. So in the absence of a Deputy Inspector General of Police, that job falls on the desk of the Commissioner of Police who occupies the administration position. And sometimes it's quite difficult. So I will agree that at any point in time, we should always have an IGP and a Deputy IGP. But who says that we cannot even have reforms to have Assistant Inspector Generals of Police? It is possible to have an IGP, a Deputy IGP, and 3 or 4 Assistant Inspector Generals of Police before we have police commissioners. I'm sure that going forward, we will be looking at some restructuring and reforms for the Ghana Police Service as the population grows, and the structure itself must change to reflect in the growth of the numbers of the Ghana Police Service itself.
Honorable, I do appreciate your time on this matter. Thank you so much.
Most grateful.
Honorable Peter Lanchani Tobo is Member of Parliament for the Wa West constituency, also a former police chief. He knows the hierarchy and the workings of the Ghana Police Service. He's worked with the now newly appointed Deputy IGP in charge of operations, COP Chris Ntete quite closely. He's the man to talk about him when we're looking for somebody to put a testimony to his work. Now to that bad news.
Yes, Alfred. Well, bad news, because some commercial transport operators in Ghana are advocating for an increase in transport fares to align with the recent 4% rise in petroleum prices at the pump. Transport Operators Association of Ghana have announced there will be an increment of transport fares coming Monday, July 22nd. We can speak to David Agbado, PRO, Concerned Drivers Association of Ghana, what is informing this increase and what is the percentage they are even looking at. I remember speaking to him last week and he mentioned that they are looking between 10 to 15%, and so we'll find out if they are really going to do this or the percentage is coming down or not.
10 to 15%?
10 to 15%, Alfred. Besides, well, so they talk about the fact that there have been some increments in the in prices of spare parts. They also say that the fuel increment obviously is a factor to look at. And then some other operational costs. The last time fuel prices went up, they tell me they did not increase their prices. They had to take that in. And so if it's going up again, then this time they have to give us between 10 to 15%, Alfred.
I see. And, fuel prices have gone up as well. And what that means is that you're having to spend more for the same quantity of fuel that you were buying maybe sometime 6 months ago.
Yes, Alfred.
You did the calculation. Now you're having to spend almost 20 Ghana cedis on 1 gallon of fuel, the same amount you're buying in January 2024. And then for diesel, almost the same amount. So it's not looking good.
And for new drivers like myself, it's like that.
You might just want to park.
Welcome to the baptism of fire.
I tell you.
The hassle is really real, Alfred. You buy fuel and you just make a trip from the house to the office and then gone.
This is when you're driving, you look at the gauge. Anyway, but it's something we'll get into a lot more. But government has allayed the fears of a possible spike in the cases of the dengue fever in the country, despite an increase in the caseload to 36. Deputy Health Minister Alexander Kwesiakwa says government is best placed to contain the outbreak.
It is easier to arrest the situation whilst it's still fresh. We have told them enough protection because most of the people who have been affected claim that they got bitten on their farms, and so it's deterring them to go back to their farms. So we've told them you can still go to the farm, but dress in such a way that you can be protected. The afforestation could contribute to it because in the past you have some of these insects hanging out on some of the streets, but when you get into this afforestation, they get open and then they get loose and then start coming anywhere. Eastern Shares border was central, and so it started with Eastern region, went through Asin Fusu, and then now we're here, it's trending to Cape Coast and all that. And so we are hoping that once the experts have identified it, we will arrest it.
It's the Deputy Health Minister there, and the investigation has been carried out across adjoining districts in the eastern and central regions with reported surge in malaria-like conditions. Many more samples from suspected cases have also been submitted to Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research for confirmation. The Ghana Health Service has confirmed 36 cases of outbreak of the dengue fever from both central and eastern regions. These cases were detected in communities by healthcare workers using an appropriate case definition. Some farmers have also been speaking to us.
Mosquitoes bite us when we go to the farm, hence we cannot go to the farm. Our wives and children are also sick. Mosquitoes are disturbing us. We cannot even come to our farms, and when we do, we have to dress like this. Sometimes we cannot even work for 30 minutes. They are all over our farms.
Well, so Grace, if you're having farmers complaining about mosquito bites during the day, you should know as well that the mosquitoes that fly during the day are the ones who are the possible carriers of this dengue.
The Aedes mosquito.
Absolutely. You call it what?
Aedes.
Aedes. Mosquito. Yeah. So the farmers say that they will not go to the farm. And this is going to threaten food security.
Obviously, I heard.
So we spoke to the General Agricultural Workers Union, General Secretary Edward Karewe, who indicated that this must be a worry for government.
Well, good afternoon to you and to our listeners. So it is still growing, and if we are not able to deal with it decisively, then we should expect it to spread to many more places and many more regions in the coming days. Well, farmers are just left to their own fate because we cannot drive away those flies. You can't drive them away. You can also be indoors, but immediately you then get out of your rooms, then they attack you. So it is going to affect their output. We cannot also advise them to stay indoors So it requires a national action on it. What the Minister of Health, the Minister of Agriculture will come out with a plan to deal with that issue. We think that must be done immediately and urgently. So that is what we can do, because it will become a disaster. It will become an epidemic if we don't address it immediately. That is what we can advise government to do that now, to save the situation, because already agriculture is suffering from the normal production because of galamsey, because of lack of inputs and so on.
That's Edward Caraway, General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union. It's a minute to hit 6 p.m. Before we go for the business news, some good news for you.
Yes, Alfred, step into the world of Dewa 539 for your chance to win big with Dewa Direct and Dewa Chop Money. With Dewa Direct, dial *446#, pick 1 to 39 and win 20 times, 40 times or 400 times your stake, and win cash every evening at 7 p.m. and on Sundays at 6 p.m. Early birds love Dewa Chop Money. At 10 a.m., dial *446#, choose 1 to 39 and win 20 times, 40 times or 400 times. Play at dewa-nla.com or dial *446#. Need help? Just call 055-625-92949 or 0532479879. When we say Dewa, you say Afa.
We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us. Michael Ogbodo standing by with the latest in the world of business.
Because of you, to keep you on top of your game. Yeah!
You are at the center of our universe. That's why we make it a duty to serve you only the freshest, hottest news and entertainment. When you want it, where you want it.
Good morning, Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. Welcome to Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7 with me, Johnny Hughes, Helen Apiambofo. Weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
Well, hello there. Good evening. It's time now for the business segment here on Hot Edition with me, Michael Ogbodo. Coming up tonight, Ghana Revenue Authority surpasses mid-year target by over 138 million cedis, achieving 21.2% increase in collections. Stay with us for details of this and more shortly. Well, thank you for staying. Straight into our top story. The Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, exceeded its 2024 mid-year target by 138.6 million cedis. This represents a 0.2 percentage point increase. The GRA collected 68.49 billion cedis as at the end of June 2024. The authority outperformed its June target by 21.2%. Julie Esiam is the Commissioner General of the GRA.
They exceeded mid-year budget by 0.2%. This achievement represents a nominal growth of 37.60% over the same period last year. Specifically, for the month of June, the devoted staff of the Ghana Revenue Authority outperformed and exceeded the revenue target by an exceptional 21.2%, a significant increase in a single month. Ladies and gentlemen, all of this was achieved against the headwinds of a very difficult first quarter. And this is a testament to the commitment, resilience, and overall dedication of our staff. To break down the details of the performance to date, the month of January, we fell below target by 12.3%. February showed a shortfall of 6.3%. March suffered a similar trend of an increased negative deviation of 12.7%. We started to rebound from April and exceeded target by 1.9% that month, then exceeded again in May by 1.4%. As we can see, the outstanding performance in June supported the turnaround to help with a positive half-year performance of the 0.2% of the total half-year budget.
So that was Julie Esiam. She's the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA. Now, Vice President of Imani Africa, Bright Simmons, has observed that government's actions in the ENI, Vitor and Springfield unitization have damaged the latter drastically. He noted that this could negatively impact Springfield's ability to source funding for its operations going forward. Bright Simmons was speaking on Business Focus on TV3.
In the case of Springfield, two matters are important. The government's actions have damaged Springfield massively. So for those Ghanaians who think, okay, if the government's actions was purportedly to support a Ghanaian company, think about it carefully. A lot of information has now come out during the arbitration to suggest that the Springfield field may not be as profitable. Remember that Springfield was advertising to the public and to the world that it has about 1.5 billion barrels in that find. Assume that there are no cost in production and use today's normal price of oil. That's about $150 billion field. Now it is suggested, at least Eni was insistent, that in their calculation, it was less than 100 million. So less than, 7-8% of what Springfield was claiming was the true value. Then there was a dispute. Now the arbitrators have sided with the investors against Ghana, saying that from the evidence that is available, it's not even clear that the field that Springfield has can be profitably produced. Meanwhile, Springfield is walking around the world looking for money.
That was Vice President of Imani Africa, Bright Simmons. Away from that, the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana says the right investment in the country's agricultural sector can significantly reduce Ghana's unemployment situation. This follows a recent study by the Ghana Statistical Service, which indicates that about 1.9 million youth aged between 15 and 35 are disconnected from the economy, lacking engagement in education, employment, or training. Speaking at a national stakeholder validation workshop on the Planting for Food and Jobs 2.0, president of the association, Pierre Adubwala, stated that if the enabling environment is created for the agricultural sector, more youth would prefer to venture into the industry rather than remain unemployed.
Close to 2 million youth in Ghana, they are not employed, they don't have skills, they have no education, and this should be a source of worry to any government. And the agriculture sector is the area that these people can easily be rolled into. And that is why we are calling on government. If you have to invest in irrigation, in mechanization, and in technology, this is what will attract the youth into agriculture. If you don't do this, you will not expect people, especially young people, and others have even gone to school to come into the agriculture sector to continue with the difficult tax. So if government really want to reduce the unemployment, that is why we earlier were telling them a number of programs have been rolled out, they are unsustainable. After some time, the programs die out. But the agriculture sector is where Ghana has competitive advantage. So if we invest in irrigation, in technology, we can attract the youth to this area, and eventually we're going to grow food to this nation. Mind you, I indicated that we are the backbone of the nation's economy, the smallholder farmers, and then we also produce food to ensure that Ghana is self-sufficient when it comes to food production.
So that was the voice of President of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Wapia Dugwala, bringing an end to the business segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is sports, and Oreku is on standby to bring you the latest. Stay tuned.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and we start off with some transfer news because Black Stars and Cagliari midfielder has completed, that's Ibrahim Sulemana, has completed his return to Atalanta on a deal worth 9 million, including add-ons. Three Sports do understand. Sulemana penned a 4.5-year deal after he joined Atalanta, where it all began for him with their youth side. Now he has signed this contract with the UEFA Europa League holders. The 21-year-old, as I mentioned, joined Atalanta's youth team from Sunane in 2019, but following some battles with injury, he left 2 years later to join Hellas Verona and then later moved to Cagliari. He played 21 league games for Cagliari last season in Serie A, scoring 2 goals, and he now returns to Atalanta. And so that is it in terms of transfer news. We're wishing Sulemana all the best. He received his debut call-up for the Black Stars just recently. But let's come back to Ghana, where Asante Kotoko and Heart of Oak are playing yet again. I'm sure you're wondering, how come these two big sides are clashing so early on? Because the season is actually yet to start. In fact, pre-season here in Ghana hasn't officially begun, but this is the Democracy Cup, and it's currently being played at the Accra Sports Stadium between Heart of Oak and Asante Kotoko. It's the maiden edition, 30 years after Ghana started its own constitution, and also to celebrate democracy here in Ghana. Joining me on the phone lines is my colleague Frank, and he's actually at the stadium. And if you can hear me, Frank, what's the mood at Accra Sports Stadium like ahead of the game? I think it has just about kicked off.
Yeah, the game just kicked off, and right now the place is buzzing. The place is buzzing. The fans are electric for cheering the teams up. About 4 minutes played, and I think it's been okay so far. But the fans have been phenomenal so far. The chanting of the Jama songs everywhere. Although the stadium is not packed, you can feel the children surrounding the stadium.
Well, Frank, you've been at the stadium for some minutes now. I think the MPs were also in action. How did that go?
Oh, the MPs were able to beat the ex-Black Star players by 3 goals to 1. It was a nice, game from both teams. But I think, the ex-players decided they should let the MPs just get one over them, just for the beauty of the game.
Well, thank you very much, Frank. I'm sure we'll come back to you much later to get updates, especially on our social media handles at 3 Sports GH, and also for our evening news bulletin at 7:45 p.m. on 3 FM. The match is currently being officiated by Juliet Appiah, and it's between Ghanaian giants Asante Kotoko and Heart of Folk as they play in the maiden edition of the Democracy Cup, which is aimed at promoting parliamentary democracy through sports at the Accra Sports Stadium. Earlier, the MPs at Parliament actually beat former Black Stars players by 3-1. And so that's it in terms of the sports updates that we have here on Hot Edition. My name is Riku Ampofo, and the program continues right after this.
Welcome back. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's do a lot more stories now. The National School Feeding Program paid over 2 million cedis wrongfully to caterers for no work done over the last 5 years. Latest audits by the Auditor General has revealed serious issues of wrongful disbursement, quality and quantity of meals, and the cost per child of meals. According to the Auditor General, the probe became necessary following reports of overpayments recorded in previous years with little to no success in retrieving the said funds. My colleague Wisdom Safo of our research desk is joining me for a conversation on this. Wisdom, you have seen the report and have been studying it in the last hours. What does it say?
There's a lot in the Auditor General's report, but before then, let's give our listeners a background of what the school feeding program actually is. It was initiated in 2005 under His Excellency John Agyemang Kufuor, and it was a response to the first and second millennium goals, the SDGs.
Yeah.
Yes, the one that talks about ending famine and also inclusive education. So there's been a lot of improvements on the people who have been enrolled on this program, and by 2023, the government has already covered 3.8 million people under this program.
Okay.
But however, there have been challenges, especially from this audit report that was released by the Auditor General. And the main challenge has to do with the disbursement issues. And as you rightly mentioned, on the August 28, 2023, an amount of 1.9 million Ghana cedis was disbursed to NAFCO, and there's no evidence of that payment. And also, the National Secretariat also failed to recover overpayments, totaling 2.3 million Ghana cedis and to caterers. So if you compare this 2.3 million to what was actually given for dialysis, you realize that there's a loophole. We're actually making 2.3 million wrong transactions instead of channeling it into
areas that is so much needed.
Exactly. So it's a problem that we are facing as a country. And another wrongful payment of 274,000 Ghana cedis were made to caterers who are not under any contract. Yes, so there's a very big issue when it comes to payments and disbursement of funds under this policy. Yes, and it's not something that it's good for us, and there's something we need to do about that.
It even becomes more problematic. Because, I mean, over the time, you always hear these caterers saying, government owes us, we are going on strike and all. And then you go into the sector and you see that we're doing this wrongful payments and wrongful disbursements.
The caterers have cried, and their funds were just released recently. Yes, and another one, about 831,000 Ghana cedis were from sale of application forms have not been retrieved. This is from the Auditor General
application
report.
forms to apply as a caterer to be on the system.
Yes, and the funds has not been recovered. So there are a lot of financial drains when it comes to the management of this policy, and that's just part one of the challenges.
Okay.
As we see in the Auditor General's report. Yeah, another section when it comes to the challenges has to do with the quality and the quantity of
meals.
Yeah. Let's start with the quality. Now, between 2019 and 2022, across the various regions, 23% of the sampled schools. What I mean by 23% is if you take 100 schools, about 23 of them are having meals that are low quality, meaning it's not up to the nutritional standard.
Yes.
Yes, and about the quantity as well, if you look at the sampled schools, about 68.2% of them. Let's translate it this way. If you take 10 schools, about 7 of these schools are not getting the food in the right amount or the right quantity for the pupils. And it poses a lot of challenge on that one as well.
All right, Wisdom, so let's go into, does the report make any recommendations on this?
Yes, the Auditor General's report makes made a lot of recommendations. But before the recommendation, let's look at the trajectory of the cost per meal for per child.
And be brief on that for me.
Yes, and in 2018, the cost per meal per child was 80 pesos. This was increased to 1 cedi in 2023. And though there's a proposed increase to 1.2 Ghana cedis, that's 1 cedi,
20 pesos per child.
And take note, out of this amount that is paid, 3% of it is used for tax, withholding tax on VAT. So it means it's
still very paltry.
Yes.
It can't buy anything.
So these are some of the recommendations that were made by the Auditor General. And the one on the list is that the Auditor General recommended that the National Secretariat engage the Ministry of Finance and stakeholders to set an adequate feeding fee for the people. They are saying it's not enough for the caterers to provide a standard meal. They are requesting for 3 cedis 50 pesos. They are saying the 1 cedi 20 pesos is not enough, so the government should do something about it. And also, the Auditor General is recommending that there should be procurement processes, and it should ensure that eligible caterers with the capacity, we should give the contract to caterers who have the capacity to pre-finance these meals so that it can be paid later on.
Later when government does a disbursement to them.
And finally, the Auditor General is recommending that the National Secretariat implement debt management. So we know there are a lot of arrears that have not been paid
to these
caterers. So there should be a management of these debts. So that's what is in the Auditor General's report, which was released in September 2023.
Thank you, Wisdom, for bringing us that details. I know that we are not done yet. We'll definitely go deeper into that and get a lot more on it. Wisdom Safo is with our research desk. We are joined by Siba Alpha, who is with the Secretariat. Mr. Alpha, thank you for speaking to us. The Auditor General's report says that the Secretariat paid over 2 million Ghana cedis in wrongful payment. Has this come to the attention of the Secretariat? How do you respond to this?
Thank you very much, and good evening. Good evening to cherished listeners and viewers. Yes, I was just called, but I told the person who called me that these issues have just broken up. And then, so once we are aware of the reports and its content, we also want to put out that we are also instituting our own investigation so that we're able to respond appropriately. So under the circumstances, I'm not able to say much until we are done with this investigation so that we share the outcome of everything to our opponents.
So your investigations, what are you looking out for?
No, I've just told you we will set out so many parameters to look at the issues that have been raised. Mind you, is the auditor the performance report is talking about issues that started since 2017. So look at the years involved. So that means we have to take our time to do a meticulous job by investigating all the issues before we are able to comprehensively respond to your questions.
All right, Mr. Alpha, but I mean, we know that you are doing your research and investigation and all, but these issues from the Auditor General's Department, doesn't it disturb the Secretariat, especially at a time where we've always had caterers always coming in to say that the Secretariat owes them and all of that?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that I was just telling you that I don't know whether it's your producer. He has just called me. Out of respect for your station, I just said, okay, I will handle I didn't decline.
Yes.
And so I have to get the updates and the facts And that's why I'm telling you that the first thing we are doing is to institute an investigation to find out what really happened, because this is the auditor's report. And so maybe we'll look
subsequently, when your investigation results are out, we will have a better conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Thank you for speaking to us. Ziba Alpha is PRO or PRES with the School Feeding Secretariat. Well, let's do a lot more and go into elections now, because we know Parliament has been visiting the Electoral Commission, who is reiterating its commitment towards an open and transparent electoral process in the December polls. We have that story coming up shortly. Well, welcome to your Election Command Center. On today's edition of Campaign Show, the Electoral Commission has reiterated its commitment towards an open and transparent electoral process in the December polls during the presentation of the Democracy Cap to the Electoral Commission by the leadership of Parliament. The chairperson, Agyemang, assured of transparent elections and urged political leaders to accept the outcome of the polls.
Just like the football match, we serve as the midwives that birth the elections. We are the referees that conduct and that lay the election and the processes that lead to, the election day itself. And so as referees, we are committed to, ensuring that our activities from now in the lead up to the election and all our electoral processes are transparent, they are open, they are fair, and they are involve the collaboration of our key stakeholders, i.e. the political parties and the citizenry. So like the referee of the match this afternoon, we commit to ensuring transparency in all aspects of our work. Our activities are open, as I mentioned, right from the registration through to the declaration of elections. Everything is done in the full glare of the public. Nothing is hidden. And we will commit to this, to maintaining and ensuring that level of transparency across all aspects of our work. And so we also want to entreat and call upon the contestants of the election to accept the outcomes of the election. Surely there will be a winner and surely there will be losers. And so we all call on our contestants to accept the outcomes of the elections, because we undertake and we commit to ensuring that the elections are free, they are fair, they are credible, they are transparent.
So that was Chair of the Electoral Commission, Agyemang, assuring Parliament and the country at large of transparent, free and fair elections come December 7. That will be it for our package on Hot Edition tonight. Stories that we brought through: Supreme Court defers ruling on 2 suits against anti-LGBT bill as Apex Courts await determination of substantive suit against anti-LGBTQ legislation. Also, Transport Operators Association of Ghana announces increment of transport fares coming Monday, August 22. We also told you that President Akufo-Addo, with immediate effect, has appointed COP Christian Tete Yohonu as Deputy IGP in charge of operations. And when you listen to conversations from the security quarters, it looks like it was expected. And most of them are saying, well, conspiracy theories might be pointing to the fact that we're preparing or gearing up for a new IGP. As to whether it turns out to be true or not, time will tell. My name is Grace Hamwa Agyemang. Thank you for joining us. Log on to 3news.com and get some more stories. Enjoy the rest of your evening.